What's up, everybody? My name's Indy, and the lovely lady next to me is Ash. Welcome to Indie Game Business February 2025 sessions. Awesome. We're excited. We got 2 days full of talks, very informative. We've got some new folks on, and it's going to be amazing. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think this one's going to be the one that we just knock out of the park for sure.
So we make sure you signed up for Meet to Match and got all your meetings. Join the Discord, discord.gg/indiegamebusiness. If you're not on the Discord yet, but you certainly should be on the Discord for sure. And I'm going to back out. Ash, Rima.
Thank you, Dan. All right. So first up for the day, we have the lovely Rima. She's going to be doing her talk on the multitasking way forward, strategies for success. I'm going to hand the stage over to you, Rima. Best of luck.
Thank you so much, Ash. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends where you are in the world watching us today. So my name's Rima. I'm thrilled to be here today with you. And I know we've all got packed schedules. Even just attending this meeting means you're juggling multiple priorities. So let's make that count. For day-to-day living, I guess, my occupation is operations manager at Code Coven, who are a non-profit charity who help marginalized developers within the games industry. So definitely worth checking them out. So today we're diving into a topic that affects all of us. So that is multitasking. We live in a world where we're expected to do more faster and fewer resources. So we're trying to figure out how do we balance all of that and make it the most efficient way possible. With that being said, multitasking is a double-edged sword. When done right, it can help us maximize productivity, but when done wrong, it can lead to mistakes, frustration, and even burnout. So I'm sure a lot of us have suffered that throughout, our working life, even just our personal life as well. So hopefully I'll be able to give you some tools that might be helpful towards, strategizing, making things more efficient. But we don't have to use all the big words either. Like, you could just be multitasking by using your phone and doing cooking at the same time. But we want to do it safely. So I'm here to help navigate that with a balance. So today's session, we're going to think about your typical day. You're responding to emails while sitting in a meeting. You're checking social media while watching TV, or even cooking dinner while listening to a podcast. Also, if you have any good recommendations for podcasts, send them my way, because we love a good podcast around here. Multitasking, it's woven into our daily lives, but are we doing it effectively? This session is designed to equip you with tools to increase productivity without sacrificing quality or mental clarity. We'll explore research-backed insights, practical techniques, and real-world examples to help you master multitasking in a way that actually works. So let's just get right into it and have some fun. By the end of this session, I'm hoping you will be able to understand the concepts that I'm relaying to you, and hopefully there will be some information that you'll be able to take away from this. So by the end of the session, you'll walk away with actionable strategies to optimize your multitasking habits. You'll learn how to balance productivity, mental clarity, ensuring you get more done without feeling drained. We'll break down the science of multitasking. That sounds quite a bit iffy, but it's not, Pythagoras theorem or anything like that. So don't worry, we'll take it easy. We'll guide you along the way. So breaking down the science of multitasking, revealing when it works and when it's better to focus on a single task. You'll also hear real-world examples of how professionals, entrepreneurs, and creatives use smart multitasking to their advantage. I'm going to apologize in advance. I do have a little bit of a cold, so hopefully everything is clear for you. Yeah, seems I might have gone backwards, so I apologize. Real time. So why multitasking matters in today's world? I think coming off COVID, obviously there's a different expectation for us in the industry, whether you're doing administrative work or if you're actually in retail. There's definitely different demands that are expected from us. And the main thing is that the employers are now keeping costs down by hiring less people, but expecting the people or the employees that are there currently to do more. So workplaces today demand speed. Employees are expected to respond to emails, attend back-to-back meetings, and meet deadlines all at once. If that is something that you're suffering from at the moment, it will definitely be worth taking a step back and just seeing how you can do things better. Technology, that's also something that's changed how we function. Our phones, our laptops, even smartwatches constantly pull us into different directions, making it harder to focus. I don't know if anyone has a Fitbit or things like that, tells you to start walking after I don't know. I think it's like maybe 30 minutes. Oh, you've got 148 steps still to count. And I'm like, not right now because I'm busy responding to emails. But obviously it's a distraction and it does occur. Beyond work, you have your personal and professional overlap. So if you're hybrid working or you're working from home, sometimes you have to multitask by doing certain chores, maybe, or even the fact that, whilst you're working at home, you have to go make yourself lunch. Whereas if you was at work or in the office, you would have a little bit of a break and you could just kind of walk away from your desk and have 30 minutes to an hour to yourself, grab something to eat. You don't have to actually make it, but at home obviously you have the strains of having to do that yourself, unless you have a lovely wife or husband or partner that will do it for you. Muggins here, me. So beyond work, multitasking happens in our daily life. Managing kids, running errands, balancing fitness goals, staying socially active. It's all very overwhelming. That's why learning to multitask effectively is crucial. What I've always found is it comes to the last hour of work where I personally find it's quite difficult for me because I have to kind of think, I'm going to go pick up the kids. What am I going to cook for dinner? How do I log off without leaving any tasks till the next day? So what I've tend to do now is I have a planner. You can do this in pen and paper, go old school, or you can put it into your Google Calendar or whatever planner works for you, and actually schedule in certain tasks that you've maybe got to do but you just don't have enough time to do, and you just want to keep a note of it. Schedule it in for the next day, first thing when you do start work, so it's something you can just start on the following day. So the science of multitasking, like I said, I'm not going to do any laboratory science experiments right now, but we're going to talk about cognitive load. So just in regards to cognitive load, it's like the brain has limited capacity to handle multiple tasks at once. So the more tasks you juggle, the harder it is for the brain to maintain the quality. Single task versus multitasking, it's better for tasks that require focus, creativity, or deep work. Multitasking works better for routine tasks like answering emails or making phone calls. There's a few studies that have come into play. So one of the studies I've been reading about, I it's a study that shows that multitasking can impair cognitive function and reduce performance on tasks requiring concentration. So, for an example, like if our brain has a limited cognitive capacity, when we try to do too much at once, it struggles to keep up, leading to mistakes and mental fatigue. Research got to get my teeth back in. Research shows that single tasking is much more effective for deep work, like writing reports or problem solving, whereas multitasking works better for simple routine tasks like checking emails or making calls. In fact, one study found that multitasking can reduce productivity by up to 40% because of the time lost in switching between tasks. So you might be thinking if there's like certain strategies for effective multitasking. We always try and prioritize and task batch and group similar tasks together to increase efficiency. So, for example, instead of checking emails all day, set a dedicated time to respond in bulk. What I found is a new app called Motion, which has been great for project management. What you can do is you can upload your project task or even your personal tasks like, oh, I need to do laundry, I need to go pick up the kids. Just add them into your planner, and then what it does, it automatically creates a task into your Google Cal or your Outlook calendar, and then it will just designate certain times within your day that you will just set for that. So I've always found I always dedicate emails for about midday. So do what I got to do in the morning, midday come to my emails, because if there's anything urgent I need to action for that day, I can get on that and try and get some responses back before the end of play as well. So another one is like reducing context switching costs. So every time you switch a task, your brain takes a few seconds to recalibrate. Over a day, this adds up. So the solution might seem really simple, but minimize unnecessary switching by focusing on one category of work at a time. This is basically you want to just literally designate certain periods of time in your day to certain periods of work. So it's like emails, project management, meetings. So you can kind of switch in between without having the headache of your brain, trying to catch up with you working. Hope that makes sense. And then, yeah, like I said before, like leveraging technology, tools like Trello, Notion, Motion have timers that help manage tasks efficiently, ensuring you stay organized without feeling overwhelmed. There's obviously so many applications out there that you could use. We're so lucky to have technology to hand now, because when I first started in the industry, it was pen, paper, diaries. You had to have certain books that you would refer to and try and fill in the gaps, and it was quite difficult back then. But now obviously we're so lucky to have technology to hand that we can just leverage it every single time. But it is hard to distinguish which one's going to work for you, so I would recommend playing around with a few, see if it works for your company, works for you personally, and then just use it to your fingertips. So I don't know what's happened to my slides, so I do apologize that something's not working right now. I don't know what's happening, but it's me. It's not a indie game thing. It's me. I apologize. So we're going into balancing productivity and well-being. A I think I've been harping on a lot with, balancing and making things effective, but obviously how we being mindful of this and doing it intentionally. So you want to be present and focused on each of your tasks, even when multitasking. So that will reduce stress and enhance effectiveness. So what I would suggest is taking breaks to prevent burnout, which often happens because we attempt to multitask too much without rest. I am queen of this. I try to go, 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 and then my body's telling me, no, you need to step back, or my brain is just not functioning. So then I know I've been doing too much. I need to take a break. I need to take a coffee break. I need to take a lunch break. I need to just move away from the screen for 5-10 minutes. It's really silly, but a quick win or an easy win is literally schedule it into your calendar, because if you're like me, you just want to go, go, go. You completely forget what you're doing. So schedule it in. Break up your lunch break. If it's an hour that you get, set 15 minutes aside midway into your working hours, like a couple hours in and a couple hours before you tend to leave, schedule another 15 minutes. So then you can actually step away from it, give yourself time not to burn out. And yeah, hopefully that works for you. So another thing is obviously identifying tasks for multitasking. Not all the tasks are suited for multitasking. Tasks requiring higher focus should not be multitasked, but tasks that are repetitive or require little cognitive effort can be combined effectively. So, for example, like if you're brainstorming ideas for a project, distractions can hurt creativity. But if you're doing like laundry or listening to a podcast at the same time, it's probably fine. So we're just gonna keep harping on about don't forget to take breaks. Studies show that obviously stepping aside periodically actually boosts productivity and prevents burnout. I don't know if for the working from home crew, like myself, it's the matter of, I literally have to take a break. It sounds really silly because you probably think, oh, she's working from home, she has all of the free time, but actually no, the set times I have for work, I still have to allow myself to have a break so I can recoup and think about the other stuff that I need to do, because me being a mum, I always have to obviously try and balance everything at the same time. And I know some of my colleagues also feel the same, and they're not parents. So, it's just one of those things, you have to find what works for you and the best way of working forward. But if you're at the studio, definitely speak to your managers, speak to, your leads, and just see, how you can balance it and make it effective for you and the team. So, common multitasking challenges. Obviously, with everything, there's going to be some sort of challenge. So it definitely comes into play with multitasking. You have decreased focus and increased errors. So multitasking reduces like the ability to focus and lead to mistakes, because if you're trying to do too much at one time, then the likelihood you're going to make mistakes is going to happen. And then you're going to feel the emphasis of that mistake afterwards because you're trying to go, go, go. We've already talked about this a little, but burnout and decision fatigue. Switching between tasks constantly can be mentally exhausting. Over time, it reduces your ability to make quality decisions and can cause stress. So multitasking may seem efficient, but can result in lower overall productivity if done incorrectly. So I'm just going to give you a couple examples. So hopefully you can probably relate. Reach out and leave any comments if you want to talk about those examples as well. Have you ever tried writing an email while listening to a meeting? You probably noticed that you didn't fully grasp everything being said. That's because your focus was split. So, for example, one of my jobs on a day-to-day basis is minute taking. So although I know I have a list of other tasks that I need to do, and whilst you're minute taking, you could just get that random email that you know you need to reply to. Don't do it, because the likelihood is you're going to miss something that's being said, or you are going to make a mistake in the email to respond to. If you're great, do it, but I just think be a little bit wary, because it can increase errors. Frequent task switching can lead to decision fatigue. So your ability to make good choices declines over time due to mental exhaustion. It's a common trap. We feel like we're getting more done, but in reality, multitasking can cause errors, reduce quality, and make us feel more stressed. I think the last thing we want in today's society is to feel stressed. So where we can obviously decrease that for ourselves, it's probably an amazing thing to do. But obviously it's not always easy. It's not always easy to think that, there's certain things that have to be done that need priority. And that's the key word, priority. You have to obviously put everything into perspective and priority. Make a list if it's going to help you. Prioritize what that day is looking like. What is the most urgent action that you need to do? And then kind of work your way down. If it's that two things are on fire, try and figure out how you can break down those tasks that are on fire to make them into smaller chunks. So hopefully that will help you with the decision fatigue and not cause any burnout where you're trying to stress so much to try and get it done. And then also, I think the main thing is we live in a day nowadays that we just forget to ask for help. We're not all superheroes like we wish we were. It's okay to ask for help and speak to your colleagues, speak to your employer, and asking for help isn't a sign of any failure. I think it shows more courage if you are asking for help. So whether that be, trying to make a big task into smaller tasks and handing some things over, doesn't mean you can't do your job well. It just means there's just too much being expected of you right now. So we need to take a step back. So, practical applications and real world scenarios. So I'm just going to go through a few examples that I found in regards to multitasking. People of organizations that have effectively used multitasking strategies are, for example, like a manager who uses task batching to streamline meetings, or a creative professional who combines low effort tasks during routine activities. So, in regards to a manager batching tasks to streamline meetings, it could be, you know, we have a meeting due. So within that meeting, we need to figure out the agenda. We need to figure out a timeline, a project plan, who's going to be running the project, all of that. So as a manager, obviously, task batching into one meeting helps so that, first of all, you can get all the answers that you need. And second of all, you can get majority of your tasks done. But it's not always effective, I would say, because you need to think of how your employees or your team are going to obviously relate to that, or you need to think about how their day is going and how many tasks that they have going for themselves. So we have to be conscious of other people's times as well. So that's always good to obviously speak to your project manager and actually get estimates right. If you can estimate your time effectively, then there shouldn't be any issues as to why a certain task can't be done within a certain time. Obviously, real world, there's always fires, so it's understandable you're not always going to meet your deadline. So a project manager who juggles multiple deadlines can schedule meetings back to back instead of scattering them throughout the day, reducing switching fatigue. So that's basically, someone like myself. I can schedule meetings back to back, knowing that those throughout like 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. is my designated meeting time. So within that time, I'm not going to do anything else. An entrepreneur, so they might use like voice to text tools to use notes while driving, ensuring ideas aren't lost without compromising safety. I think, AI has a big, tool to play within the industry right now. So it's like you can find certain apps that can note take for you whilst you're in the meeting. That can help. That can streamline some of your processes that you have. It's a great tool. If you just got to find the one, obviously, that works for you. But as I said, don't compromise your safety. Don't do it whilst you're driving. Set it up all beforehand. Hopefully set it up from a desk. So we're just going to think a little bit about your daily routine. Could you automate repetitive tasks? Could you dedicate focused time for deep work? And could there be small tweaks you can transform productivity? So routine, like to automate repetitive tasks, that could be simply like, I have a day where I need to be logged in by a certain time. I need to have certain answers given. So, is it a team stand that you have? There might be instances where if you have Slack, you need to provide an update of the things that you were doing yesterday or you're intending to do today. How can you automate these processes? There's certain things you can do within softwares where you can set it up to automate tasks showing what you have in your calendar. So those are the meetings that you're due to do today. So let me tell my colleagues that these are the ones I'll be in. Or just generally within your personal life. So how can I automate the fact that I need to brush my teeth at a certain time? I need to be out the door by a certain time. I need to have eaten, bathed, clothed, whatever it is. Is there a way that you could effectively do that better without causing so much stress? So what I would say is integrating multitasking without sacrificing quality would look like using apps for time management or like setting specific times for tasks to avoid distractions. So in regards to the current job that I'm in at the moment, I'm kind of juggling a few hats. So I'll put a case study for myself, like in general day to day. So being ops manager, but taking on a little bit of the finance aspects, and then being full-time mum, I have to think, obviously, what's the best way of me multitasking my life, basically. And it's pretty simple. It's trying to be level-headed and realize and speak to myself about, the realisticness of how much time I have. As I said, we're not all superheroes. I'm not Wonder Woman. I wish I was. Oh my gosh, that was so cool because I just want to fly around the world. Anyways, so I think the main thing is obviously being realistic with your time. When you have to step back from something and say you don't have enough time to carry out something, it's not a bad thing. Your employer will understand. I understand, companies have certain KPIs they need to hit. They need to obviously get the most out of the money that they're spending, but they also have to be realistic and figure out if they have enough employees to cover the workload. So, for example, my day-to-day would be looking like, wake up at a certain time, get the kids bathed, fed, get myself bathed and fed, and then we need to be out of the door by 8:30 a.m. That means I have to have all my personal stuff done by that time, because I know once I've dropped them to school and I come back, it's not me time, it's now like my Code Coven time. So let's get working. What do I need to do first? Look at my calendar, and then obviously there I'll be able to see what we have going for the next day. For the day, planned, emails, meetings, certain task. So yeah, it's always good to be able to do that, and then multitask at the same time. Put a little bit of music on in the background, let myself like ease my way into work. Or it could be I've got LBC on in the background, or Real Housewives is my game changer. Don't ask me how I can concentrate on work and watch Real Housewives at the same time, but I promise you it can work. And then, yes, like I said, make sure you remember to do the small things, like give yourself a break to eat, drink water. And the Fitbits are great. It does, like I said before, it tells you after 30 minutes or so, you've got 128 steps or something that you need to do for the hour. Get up, leave your desk for a second, take a walk around your living room, take a walk around the office, and then come back. You'll also feel like it will give you a different headspace, and it could be you're trying to problem solve for a while, and now you've realized that actually I've taken that break, I can remember what I need to do, or I can figure this out. Always, 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 please ask for help. I'm gonna harp on about it so much, but it's really like important to know your limits. Please ask for help where you can. Nowadays it's very hard to do everything, be everything, and remember to be kind to yourself. But I definitely would say be kind to yourself first. Figure yourself out, figure what's best and working for you before you can go and support a company, before you can support a team or even your family. You have to be kind to yourself. So it's a little tip there. And then as managers, you have to be mindful of yourself, but you have to be mindful of your team's time as well. So how can we best multitask, our tasks as well as our team tasks? Like I said, use the applications that are available to you. Majority of them are free. Some of them are subscriptions, but definitely worth just even looking at your general calendar to see if there's any integrations that you can make that will make it easier for you and your team to multitask to the best of everyone's ability without causing any burnout. As a manager, if you want to streamline meetings, think about setting up an agenda beforehand so you can try and find out some of the information prior to the meeting. That will always help streamlining the meetings. Again, being conscious of team times and their availability, and obviously being kind to them as well as yourself. So we touched on it a little bit before, just obviously about juggling multiple deadlines when you are like back to back. So obviously, if you have effectively set up estimates within your times, then hopefully you shouldn't have the issue where you would need to juggle various deadlines. But if you did have to juggle various deadlines, it's always about prioritizing and seeing what would obviously be top priority, second priority, and like what can actually wait. Sometimes it's not easy. We live in the real world. We get it. It's not always going to be plain, simple that we can just kind of put something to a side. But to get something done effectively without any errors or making any mistakes, there is prioritization that would need to happen for that. And again, using certain tools, whether it be like Canva boards or Notion pages, to actually prioritize within timelines and giving yourself an expectation earlier to see when certain deadlines are coming up. So for example, I have to submit a talk for indie game business, and I know the deadlines, for example, the 27th of February. I would actually put myself a 2-week reminder to be like, hey, reminder of a reminder to, propose or submit your talk submission. Because we know life gets in the way. We always forget about things. So it's just preparing to know what you would need to do in the future. So preparation is key. So I have come to the Q&A section a little bit earlier, so I will carry on. No, because I've made a boo-boo, I think. No, I haven't made boo-boo. I have come to the Q&A section earlier, but what I will do is I will go back a few slides just so I can talk more on a few items. So bear with me 1 second.
We actually have a bunch of questions and a lot of people saying stuff. So if you just want to move on to the Q&A, we can.
Okay, let's do it.
All
Thanks,
right.
Ash.
Go ahead and remove this. I really enjoyed your talk. I do a lot of what you have suggested. I have reminders. Like I keep a spreadsheet so I know what I have to do and all that. And I have a big bold letter reminder because I know I'm going to forget. So then
Yeah.
even if I have to do it for like the following week, I'll be like reminder for next week. And then I'll put that reminder on the next week. So like, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. I love that it resonates.
Yeah, 100%. Like I was listening to you, but I was reading what everybody was putting and people were saying a lot of stuff that I already do. And I was like, I'm not the only one. This is awesome. So let's
love
go ahead
that.
and pop up our first question.
Thank you.
So we have one from YouTube from Dub. Multitasking is a nightmare for people with ADD. How do you cope with that if you have ADHD without taking the bad medication, which is bad for your health? Just a statement. If you are on medication or thinking about getting on medication, you speak with your provider. Don't post blanket statements like that, So I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the question. From someone who doesn't suffer with disease, but obviously I know people who do, and then obviously personally I've had to take certain medications to just get my mental health right. It's quite difficult, but this is why it's key to be kind to yourself and remember yourself before you go in trying to do for others. So it's all about whatever you need to find a tool that's easiest for you. So if it's that I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper and I'm going to have sticky notes everywhere, great, works for some people, doesn't work for others. I'm a combination of sticky wall and then also everything in my calendar. Like I said, I put times where, I need to go and eat, I need to drink water, because you will forget to do these things because you're trying to cope with your workload and things like that. I think just finding the best tool that works for you. And like I said, it doesn't specifically have to be an integration tool. It can be literally pen and paper. So write down. I'm short-term memory, so I forget to do the littlest things. Write down. Send yourself a text. Oh my God, WhatsApp. If anyone's on WhatsApp, you can text yourself little reminders or little links that you need to go and review later on. It's a game changer. So text yourself, I need to go and pick up a loaf of bread. Like, it really helps, trust me.
Neurodivergent here. Hello. I have ADHD, which is a combination of autism and ADHD. I can actually give some insight on this. Set alarms on your phone. As tedious as it might sound, my phone has my alarm list is probably this long on my phone. And I have 5-minute reminders before I have to do something, and then the alarm for that specific thing. And they're constantly on for specific days. I know I need to do stuff. I also have notebooks that are specific for, that are for specific things. So I have a notebook that's only for meetings. I have a notebook that's only for IGBS stuff. I have notebooks for certain things. And then I also keep a spreadsheet with times that I've done stuff. It's also my accountability. So I know I need to do stuff. Did I do it? And then if I need to send super important stuff, I will timestamp it, because the second after I send it, I'm going to forget that I did what I needed to do. So if I have a timestamp with a name, I can then just, do a quick search, Control F it, bring it up, look, be like, okay, yeah, no, I totally did send that really important email to Rima at 9 o'clock in the morning last Monday. I know I have all of it done. So that way it just helps me. It may sound super over the top, but if you are somebody who is neurodivergent and you find that you struggle with memory and staying on task and, going on side quests. I go on side quests all the time, and I am medicated, but I still go on side quests. Having just that, if it's in front of you, it's easier to remember and easier to do, because out of sight, out of mind for ADHD, really bad. We forget about people, we forget about objects, we forget about tasks. So if you have them in front of you, you are less likely to forget. I'm not saying you're not going to forget, but you're less likely. So you just kind of have to figure out what works for you.
100%. And in regards to accountability, do you know, I've got this really bad habit now. I keep print screening everything, and it just saves an image in my box. Because I'm so lazy, I can't bother to write. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to print screen, and then at the end of the day, I'm going to go back and then put those into my spreadsheet. So another little hack.
Yeah, I never thought about the capturing of a thing. I have a whole album on my phone of stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm going to screenshot this. I'm going to get back to it and read it. I never do. So I don't think that would work for me very well.
Hey, what works for others might not work, so let's just try everything we can.
All right. So we have another question from YouTube. How do you then go back to work after a break? When I have a break, I then procrastinate getting back to work. Same.
Yeah. Do you know, it's so easy to do. I think you really need to ease yourself back into work. If it's that you've had a couple weeks off and you've been on holiday, or you've just been sick, it can happen. You have to give yourself a day or two just to actually ease back into it all. Don't take a whole load of work. And I don't think any managers should expect you to take on a whole bunch of work on your first day back. There should be some leeway into maybe having the morning to catch up with yourself and then trying to, get into certain tasks that the team are working on throughout the rest of the day. Or maybe it's that you do take that first day to ease yourself back in. When obviously easing yourself back in, again, prioritizing what you need to do, what is the most urgent thing there. Maybe it's like emails. Let me first get into my emails, check, who I need to respond to first. Trying to batch email as well always helps. But just again, be kind to yourself and never forget about yourself, because you're not expected to just come in guns blazing like, yeah, I'm ready, I'm gonna take on the world. No, we live in the real world. It's not gonna happen. I've been sunbathing for a week. Come on, I'm not gonna come straight to work and be like, oh, I'm ready to work. No, I'm gonna take my time, and hopefully our employers should be willing to support us on that. And if they're not, we have to have conversations and see what happens.
Well said. Well said. All right. We got another one on YouTube. How to proceed when there's multiple tasks to do simples and big ones. What's the best way to start?
We touched on this a little bit, but obviously figure out which one is top priority. If it's like the simple ones are top priority, get those out of the way because they're simple. We can do those really quickly. If it's that the big ones are priority, but the simple ones would be quicker, maybe it might be best to do that. You have to figure out yourself dependent on your task list. But in regards to big ones, break them down into smaller chunks. There's no harm in ever breaking down a bigger task into smaller chunks and time boxing them as well. So, I've got a big task which usually takes 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to break it down into smaller tasks to do certain bits within 30 minutes, and maybe I'm going to delegate another 30 minutes out to one of my colleagues if I can. So it's about looking at your priority list and just seeing obviously what is on fire and how you can break down to the best of your ability.
Awesome. Let me see. I think this is a 2-part one. These have been coming in as we've been talking, so I've not been able to prepare myself. Oh, wait, here's a question. All right. Question. Do you try to keep your inbox clean and find it is where you are losing more time? I can't handle like a clogged up inbox. Like, I don't know how people function like that. So
okay, so it's the inbox thing and it's the having 50 tabs open. It gives me heart palpitations. I cannot have that happen. No way. No way. Okay, so inbox, as certain junk emails are coming through, delete it. If you've accepted an invite, and you have the lingering email to say you've accepted it and the meeting's due in like a couple days, delete it. You don't need to have that lingering in your inbox because you will never see what is priority for you. And obviously you have the functions in your inbox where you can make folders. You can make a respond urgently folder. You can make certain folders that can archive stuff. So like 2024 folders, 25, like January. You can tailor make the folders, the subfolders, to be as working best for you as possible. So I have my respond now, respond this afternoon, and obviously anything that needs to be archived. So definitely try and keep your inbox clear as possible so then you know what you need to respond to when it's coming in.
all right. I know we just kind of went over this, but I'm gonna pop it up anyways.
Okay.
It's a 2-part, like it's really long, so I have to pop it up in 2 different sections. So there are days in which I go for the largest and hardest task first to get out of the way and get a motivation boost. And other days I go for the easiest, shortest task first to build motivation for them. Is any of those 2 options better than the other in your experience?
Okay. Ash, can I have the first bit up on the screen? Thank you. Okay, so there are days where I go for the largest, hardest task first. Okay, that makes sense because you feel like because it's the biggest and it's going to be the hardest, you know, you're probably going to need to dedicate more time to it. Again, that's when you can see if there's ways of breaking down the task to make it into smaller chunks. That way you can do it within smaller time sections and you can plan it out. I think when I was younger, we used to do like mind mapping. So, maybe this task is about how we're going to do the next marketing something or other. I can't find words right now. I apologize. I've been talking a lot. So, mind mapping, like, how am I going to break this task into smaller tasks? I need to find a producer who's going to be able to make the content, speak to the comms team to do this, that, or the other. So it's all about breaking down the larger task. But sometimes, as I said, it might be easier that you look at your task list and you see a smaller task and you think, it's going to take me 10 minutes. So what's the point of leaving it till the bottom of my task list? Just get it over and done with. Then there's less headache for you. And yes, that will probably give you a better motivational boost than doing the bigger ones because you feel like you've achieved more throughout the day.
So I'm seeing all these comments of people like, oh yeah, do this. Oh no, don't do that. So Bingo brought up a suggestion. Don't delete your emails. Use folders like mentioned. Especially if ADHD, the search function will come in so handy. My folders are insane for my work email. I have everything broken down into different folders so that way I can just type in a name and be able to pull stuff up. So I'm a big folder person. I know not everybody is a big folder person, but I feel you, Bingo. I feel you.
Yeah, but once you learn the trick about the folders, I think it's a game changer and you'll never revert back. So
No.
if you've never tried it before, please try it and just, I don't know, we'll come back. Find me on LinkedIn and we can talk about it later.
All right. So let's see. What else do we have? Also, Dub, I saw your comment. I didn't take it personally at all. People do whatever makes them good. I was just blanket statements. I don't want people to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't or maybe I should. So no, you're good. So Brian said, turning tasks into side quests really helps. Before I did that, my ADHD did not let me focus on anything. My side quests can be like productive side quests, but then I can also find myself in like my living room with kitchen cleaner in one hand and a cat toy in another. And I have like a Sims moment where I'm like, how did I get here? Like my free will is just taken. And then I'm just like, wait a minute, what's going on? So side quests they're both good and bad for me, but I could see where they could be really beneficial for other people.
Yeah, 100%. But like I said, you always forget to do things, so it's easier just to sometimes put it in your calendar and be like, hey, you're going to have 10 minutes to go and take the laundry out. It sounds so silly, but unless I actually put it in, I probably won't do it. I'll probably leave it there soaking to the last minute, and then it comes out damp and I have to rewash it. Like, that's always going to happen. Or even put in 10 minutes just to put in my calendar me time. I actually go and play Candy Crush on my phone to mentally offload doing anything I'm doing. So I'm not talking to anybody within those 10 minutes on my Candy Crush because I need time to decompose everything that's been going on in the world. So don't talk to me. So, with apps like Slack, you can actually block out time where you're saying, I'm not talking to anybody right now. Like it's a stop motion, I think. So I'm not talking to anybody at that time. It really helps, especially if you can't focus. So yeah, try it.
I was just, again, multitasking. I see pings in the Discord and I'm like, what's this? Is this something I need to do? So I have a question for you.
Go for it.
I don't take breaks.
Okay.
I am very bad about getting hyper focused on something, losing all track of time. Sometimes, not all the time, but there's times where like I need to just get this done. And then before I know it, 4 or 5 hours have gone by and like I've just been focused. So for people like myself who probably aren't as self-aware of needing to do like getting up and getting a drink and moving and stuff like that, what's your suggestions on us being more mindful of being like, this isn't healthy. You're going to burn out. You need to step it back. Because if I set an alarm mid hyperfocus, it'll completely throw me off. And then I'll get frustrated and I won't be able to finish the task because all of that creativity and all those juices are now gone. And I'm kind of jarred by an alarm going, why would I do that to myself? So any suggestions on trying to be a bit more mindful, but like easing it in, not just jarring in you have to get up?
So first of all, it's like, well done for acknowledging it, because I think acknowledgement is key, that you're not taking enough breaks and you need to do something about it. You know, it's hard for us to be self-aware and figure out what isn't working for us as well as working for us. So, you know, well done, props to you. But we're going to get this sorted. I think the main thing is, like, if you're ending a day or if you're starting a day, look at what you have already planned in the calendar. So if you know that you're going to have a 2 to 3 hour hyper focus moment, no, I'm not going to put a break in there, but I am definitely going to put a break in just after it to allow myself to remember to take a break between starting that, like finishing that and starting the next thing. So definitely pre-plan as much as you can, whether it be at the end of your day. I know tomorrow I'm looking at Thursday and I've got 5 meetings, but within that 5 meetings, is there any gaps where I could have time to do my emails, or am I going to have to do it at the designated time at midday when I usually do it? So it's kind of like pre-planning your day and looking at your task list beforehand. So see if it works. I can't guarantee it, but it's worth trying everything that you can do to get yourself back to being yourself.
I'm not very good with downtime.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was brought on to do a job. So many people rely on me for what I need, what I do. I'm not just a community manager. Like, I do so much stuff. Discord and the community is maybe like a 2% of what my actual job is.
Yeah.
So I have a really hard time with downtime and giving myself breaks, because it's like, okay, I just got this big, huge thing done. And, I'm already thinking forward, like, oh, but I now have time to get this done, even though I have stuff done for our September sessions.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, I don't give myself downtime.
Actually winning. I love it.
It doesn't feel that way, though.
No, I get it.
Jay is constantly laughing because I'm like, oh, I got this done. I got that done. It's prepped. I'm just waiting. And he's like, I know. Because like, I'm always on the ball.
Yeah.
I can't get myself to slow down. I would love to. And like, my therapist would love me to, like, I go through everything to try to better myself and my mental health. But slowing down is just, it's really freaking hard. It's hard, especially if you're so driven to like achieving stuff and getting stuff done and being a great team player, which is all like core values to me. So it's
100%.
hard to be like, okay, I have like 5 minutes that I could get up and, maybe grab a snack.
You don't always have to get up as well. Have you tried coloring? I know it sounds so silly, but having like a notepad next to you or a coloring book next to you, doing mindful coloring or drawing, scribbling, anything, will definitely be a break to yourself and, a mental break from work. So just find what works for you, which you will find it. You just haven't found it yet. So be kind to yourself. You're doing amazing. The whole business is running smoothly with everyone being a team player, which is amazing, but it doesn't always work. So just try little things that you can find.
Yeah, I'll have to. I just realized that like we
We're
are
over
past
time.
time because I was talking. So sorry, Dan's gonna kill me. Rima, thank you so very much for your very insightful talk today. Guys, everybody who had comments and questions, you are amazing. You guys are the reason we do this all the time. So thank you so much, Rima. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Astrid Gooding with Indie Survival Guide, Mastering Business Development on a Budget. So just stay on our YouTube. She'll be here in a moment. Rima, thank you again. We will see you
Thank you
guys
for having
later.
me. Bye.